Welcome to the BPOI Daily Bitcoin Update. Remember, if you could like and subscribe to our channel, that would be appreciated. Right, let's take a look at the market. Afternoon, guys. 4 on Sunday afternoon here in the UK. And let's have a look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin TA weekly candle close tonight. But obviously, looking at the weekly, it's very much bearish engulfing candle compared to close previously. We did have a bit of hopium last week when we had the candle close, and we were hoping that the this week's candle close would be above previous candle close, but obviously not the case. It was heading that way, but I think the FUD and the news recently is just driving the price down. So let's have a look at the market. So just going to the daily time frame. What I want to do, just a couple of things first. Just want to draw in a trend line. I want to draw in the previous trend line from the last falling wedge. Okay, so I'm just going from the top, touching this candle here, touching these two candle points, and I'm just going to leave it around there. Okay, so I just want to draw in that particular candle. I'm going to turn that white, leave that quite thin, so just 1px on that one. Okay, and then what I want to do is I just want to draw in two more trend lines. Okay, so we're looking at the bigger picture here. We're just going to go from the top to the top, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold down control, and I'm going to drag that down. Okay. Now I'm going to change these to dashed lines just so we know, we can identify that these particular lines are longer term sort of trend lines. Okay. So based on these two trend lines, the ones we've just drawn, Bitcoin's in an upwards trend. Okay. So touch on the bottom, touch on the top, touch on the bottom. Should ideally be looking for a touch on the top, but I think possibly what we're going to see, and this is why you should add these trend lines to your charts, is we're going to see a move down to this particular level. So this would be 32,919, which was the previous low from the falling wedge that we were in. Okay, my expectation is we'll see a move down to this level again, so that'll be 32,919 again. That will coincide with this particular trend line that we've been trading in. Okay, so just an idea. Obviously I can't predict exactly what's going to happen, but my thoughts are we've got a double bottom reversal pattern on the horizon, which we've been speaking about before. You know, we've said it wouldn't be a bad thing for Bitcoin to move back down to this area just so we could get that strong reversal. So potentially that is there, but also we've got this trend line which is acting as an area of confluence. Okay, so we are in a position where we're watching the price action now. We're holding 37,817 just about. My expectation overnight is that we'll see a move down to this area, and then we'll definitely see some sort of bounce. Okay, now whether it's a strong enough bounce to for the bulls to be jumping in and pushing this price higher, I'm not too sure, but we almost need a V-shaped recovery pattern here, straight back up to this trend line, a breakout of this trend line, retest and a move higher, all within a very, very short period of time. If we get just a dull bounce, their cap bounce as they call it, and you know, starts to roll over, then I think we'll see 28,831 or 28,000 area. Okay, so my expectation right now, based on everything that's going on, so you've got the Russia and Ukraine war, you've got the SPX, you've got general fear in both global markets and cryptocurrency markets, and it's essentially every YouTuber and Twitter feeds being full of Bitcoin is moving down. I think we're actually deliberately, you know, pushing this price lower, not because we want to, but because that's essentially what the TA is telling us at the moment. So my thoughts right now are Bitcoin is going to move down to around about this level, and then we may well see a bounce from this level, so get ready. If not, then we could see a move down to 28,831, 28,000 area, and then we could just see a drop down to this bottom trend line here. Okay, so this trend line that we're also following, we could see a move down to that trend line, which would be around 19,411 area, should that take a bit of time to move down. Okay, so keep an eye on those levels. So it's important to understand that in this downward channel that we're trading in now, until we break this upper trend line, and we're going to keep saying this until we break this upper trend line, we're essentially in this downtrend. Okay, we need a breakout of this upper trend line and then a move upwards before we can start being bullish. Even if we do get that strong bounce, whichever area it's in, whether it's this double bottom, whether it's a bit further down, until we actually break this upper trend line, we're not in a position to say we're back into a bull market. Okay, however strong the bounce is, we need to break this upper trend line. So if you do catch this bounce and it starts to move up, you need to keep an eye on this area here for potentially a reversal. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Right, I just wanted to drill down to the 4-hour time frame now. Let's just have a look at what's been going on recently. So as we identified yesterday, we had this move down. Okay, we had a bearish retest of the lower trend line, and then we entered this falling wedge. 68% chance that these should actually break higher, had a break lower. When you break against what the pattern is supposed to do, you tend to get a parabolic move down, which we've seen. Okay, and then we're just finding support around about 37,817, so around about this area at the moment. Remember, when we put these support and resistance lines in, usually the price action doesn't hit these lines because people are trying to fill their orders before the resistance or support level gets hit. Okay, so we're keeping this the support level in at 37,817, but it's just hovering above that level at the moment. Now, what am I expecting? Not too much at the moment, to be honest with you. I'm expecting possibly a retest of this trend line, possibly a retest of this trend line, possibly a retest of this 40,000 area. I cannot see at the moment, based on what's happened over the last 12 hours, Bitcoin being able to break 40,000 unless there's some exceptional news in the marketplace, which I'm pretty confident we're not going to see. Okay, so for me, I think we're going to retest. We may move up to this sort of level, so I'm just going to move this trend line a bit. We may move up to this sort of level here, but I think we're just going to see rejection and a move back down. Okay, I can't see this level holding 37,817 when you've got such an influential level below where you could see a double bottom and also confluence with regards to previous trend line, and then also confluence with regards to the longer term upward channel that Bitcoin is trading in, which is this dashed line. Okay, so for this level to hold wouldn't make sense to me. Okay, there's an opportunity for the bears to push this price lower, and I'm pretty confident we're going to see this price push lower. And that's just my opinion, but it just makes sense. Okay, it just makes sense for the bears to seize this opportunity and drive the price down as much as they can. And when you're faced with this is the quantified crypto heat maps. I mean, this is the top 100 coins, and you can see the state of the market at the moment. And you have to question that, where are we going to see some upward momentum? I know when you have typically a bloodbath, a red day is followed by a green day, but I think in this instance we're going to have a few red days before we see any sort of green day, and I just think, you know, it's a crypto bloodbath as we know it as. Okay, so it's not looking great. So let me just bring up the fear and greed, just have a look at the fear and greed index at the same time. Now, yesterday we expected this to be in extreme fear. We're still in fear. Oh, yesterday we were in extreme fear. Where's that gone? Sorry, let me bring that back up. So I think we said here, we were in neutral, then we were in fear. We said we expected extreme fear, which we saw yesterday. We just a couple of points out of extreme fear at the moment, 27. Okay, so, you know, are you expecting there to be some sort of bounce from this level? I don't think so. I think we're going to see certainly a move down to these lower areas at the moment. And if you are looking to trade, obviously we generally trade the uptrends. We don't margin trade in this group, but if you are looking to trade, then look at the 3S tokens on KuCoin. So they're short tokens with no liquidation. So you're able to trade those coins without the fear of getting liquidated, and also you don't have to transfer money over to your margin wallet. Okay, you can do it all from your trading account. So certainly look at the 3S tokens as possible ways to trade when Bitcoin is moving down. Okay, so essentially you're shorting the market, but you're doing it in a safe way. And there are certain aspects to trading those tokens. For example, you can't buy a token and then set your sell level 100% higher than what you bought for. Your maximum is 50%, so you have to trade within a 50% range. And there are some other conditions as well. So you just need to have a read up about the 3S tokens. But in this sort of market, if you don't like margin trading or you don't like the risk and you don't want to get liquidated, etc., then 3S tokens are quite a good idea. You get 3 times the leverage, but equally you can still lose 3 times the amount. So just be careful when trading those tokens. Okay, so I just wanted to bring up some news. So we've got to look at the SPX, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ and global markets. And you got to think the markets are going to open tomorrow, close for the weekend, and everything at the moment is pretty much suggesting that Putin has already made his mind up and that he is going to go to war with the Ukraine. Here in the UK, we're saying Russia plans biggest war in Europe since 1945. Putin accuses Kyiv of provocations. Russia-Belarus drills beyond the time that they were supposed to be doing the drills. Russia keeps troops in Belarus amid Ukraine fears. Ukraine-Russia crisis diplomacy will continue until tanks start rolling, says the US. Okay, so everyone is trying to avoid this war. But I just think that however long this goes on for, whether Putin actually attacks or not, the longer he keeps troops on the border, the more of an effect it's going to have on global markets. Okay, the longer he keeps troops there, the more likely it is that something is going to happen. Okay, right now, if we thought that Putin wasn't going to actually attack, surely he should be withdrawing his troops. Okay, and there's been all sorts of test firing going on and explosions and various other things which are just people are very nervous right now with regards to what's going to happen with Russia and the Ukraine. So when you look at then the SPX and the NASDAQ and you think that these are opening tomorrow, and already we're in a sort of bearish environment. We've already predicted that 42.96 would be the measured move from the double top. We've got a target of this lower trend line, 42.24. So already we're in a position where the S&P is moving down. When the markets open tomorrow, amidst all of this news, amidst the potential that we're hours if not days away from Russia attacking the Ukraine, you can't expect too much from the global markets with regards to a recovery. And at the moment, there's a degree of correlation with regards to Bitcoin and the global markets. So you have to think that if the global markets are going to start going down and going to start tanking, then potentially Bitcoin is going to follow as well. So that's why I'm not, another reason why I'm not overly bullish on Bitcoin right now. I just think until the Russia-Ukraine issue resolves itself and Russia withdraws its troops, I think global markets are going to get hit because traders don't want to be in high-risk assets. So if you look at gold is doing very well because money is pouring into gold because gold is a very, very stable asset, whereas Bitcoin and certain companies within the S&P 500 are more high risk, and therefore money is flowing out of the global markets, out of Bitcoin, into safe havens where money is protected, whilst essentially all of this blows over. And then once, hopefully all being well, Russia, Ukraine don't go to war and there's a degree of stability. Once that happens, you'll see money flow back from gold and from various other low risk investments back into the high risk, because there's going to be a huge amount of money to be made. If Bitcoin continues to fall to 32 or to 28 or even to 20,000, 20,000 isn't off the cards, isn't off the table at the moment. Once we do see that sign of a correction, the amount of money that's going to flow into Bitcoin is going to be insane. Okay, and that's when you're going to see your really, really quick recovery, and that's where you need to be sitting liquid at the moment. So those people who are withdrawing their money, they're essentially going liquid in that if the markets do crash, they want to be in a position where they can buy back in at a later date at a lower rate. So it does pay to pay attention to what's going on in global markets and what's going on in the news at the same time. Okay. Now, what we also have to be aware of is the CME gap. Okay, and you've got to look at it as an opportunity right now. There's a big gap in the CME order book right now, which needs to get filled at some stage. This could be the perfect opportunity for the CME gap to get filled. Okay, so market makers will be eyeing this up at the moment as a potential opportunity to push the price down to around 24,000 area. So it's hard to say whether this is going to happen or not, but I just think it's something that we need to be aware of. So this area here, if Bitcoin moves down to 28,000, which potentially it will do, certainly, you know, if war does break out between Russia and the Ukraine, then 28,000 Bitcoin is highly likely. And if 28,000 Bitcoin is highly likely, then you're looking at 24 to 26,000, filling the CME gap, being a probable possibility. Okay, so just keep an eye on these areas as well. CME gaps will get filled, generally get filled. We've seen it time and time again in this group. Okay, so you know, let's just keep an eye on this area. I'll mark it on the chart and I'll post it in group, but let's just keep an eye on this area as well. Okay, Bitcoin dominance. I mean, Bitcoin dominance. Last time we spoke about this, it was a case of we had a breakdown. We said that we would get a rejection from this particular trend line. We've seen that rejection from the trend line. Okay, so I think regardless of whether Bitcoin dominance is moving up or down doesn't really matter at the moment, because we're not really trading altcoins until Bitcoin finds a bottom or a decent level of support where we feel we can enter trades. And to me, that's this level here. So we're looking at this level here. Okay, so so we'll come back to Bitcoin dominance. And I mean, what would be a great scenario right now, not that it's going to happen, is if we look at the weekly chart. Okay, so Bitcoin dominance and altcoin seasons. Altcoin seasons is where you make your money. That's where you make the most amount of money in crypto. Okay, altcoin season happens when Bitcoin dominance is moving lower. The ideal scenario for us is a quick move up to this sort of level. Okay, and then we're essentially seeing a triple top, and then we're seeing a move back down here. And then this is your altcoin season. Okay, so whilst all this is going on, if we could see Bitcoin dominance, not that it's likely to happen, but if Bitcoin dominance does move up, this would be great for an altcoin season. Ideally, you know, where Bitcoin is at the moment, where Bitcoin dominance is at the moment, even if we do see a drop down, we're only really seeing a mini altcoin season. I can't see Bitcoin dominance dropping lower than 35, you know, to the 20s, to the 10s. Just can't see that happening ever. So, you know, we are getting some moves down, but we're not seeing these really, really big altcoin seasons that we've seen before. Altcoin season, massive altcoin season, you know, we're just having these small mini runs before, and before you know it, altcoin season is over. So ideally, what would be good is Bitcoin dominance rallying, and this might happen, you know, if we do get this double bottom here. Let's say we get this double bottom, or Bitcoin goes down to 28k or what have you. We may well then see this rally from Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance both moving up at the same time. Eventually they'll peak out. Both of them will peak out. Then we need Bitcoin to consolidate, okay, and move sideways for a period of a month or 2 months. And then we need Bitcoin dominance to drop. And then when that happens, altcoin season, and this is where we make our money. We've been waiting for this for months and months, since last summer. I think we've been waiting for a decent altcoin season. It's just not happening at all. Okay, right, so let's close up. Okay, Bitcoin at the moment, my opinion is that Bitcoin is going to move down. I think I am expecting Bitcoin to move down to this level, so around about 34,000 level, double bottom at this level, 32,919. If not, we've got a touch on the trend line. Okay, so expect a wick down, maybe a touch on this trend line, and then a reversal. That would be my first choice for a bullish reversal pattern. Okay, but always remember, if we go to war, then potentially we're looking at 28,000, CME gap around about 24,000, which incidentally, if you look at that, coincides with this lower trend line as well. So the CME gap is at the bottom of this lower trend line. Coincidence? Maybe, but, you know, possibly expect that to happen. Okay, and if you do want to trade cautiously, but potentially look at the 3S tokens. If you expect, so don't go by what I'm saying, but if you expect price action to move lower, then potentially look at the 3S tokens on KuCoin as a safer way, not safe, but a safer way to short trade the price action and make some money on the way down. Okay. So as usual, all eyes on Bitcoin, and it's going to be an interesting 24 hours. We've got a weekly candle close, and we've got a very, very interesting week coming up. And I think if there is going to be an escalation and a potential war in Europe with the Ukraine, then yeah, expect chaos in the markets. And well, let's just hope that doesn't happen. And I've just spotted this as well. So here in the UK, Queen tests positive for COVID, which isn't great. So let's hope the Queen is okay, because it's a big year for the Queen as well. So so yeah, hopefully she is fine. But there we go, some other news happening in the UK. Right, I'm going to leave it there, and I will catch up with you later on this evening. I will probably be awake at midnight watching what's going to be happening. Remember, Sunday night volatility. I think potentially if we're going to see some move down, it could be tonight before the markets open tomorrow. Everyone will be positioning themselves pre-market. So keep an eye on the price action this evening. All right, thanks guys. Simon from BPOI here, and if you have got any questions, just send me a message, post in the thread, and yeah, I'll get back to you. Cheers.